coming out, right? Core PCE numbers. I mean, look, they're not going to be that different from what we're seeing. Okay, I think it's pretty well reflected. The forecast final is that, we'll see, but, they're pretty good. I don't think there's any surprises there, right? And then we get that, and then we get some doing business here, 15-year, and yada, yada. And then, at the holiday, it just kind of dries up. Micron, let's see what happens here. I kind of concerns me because everybody is bullish on Micron. I mean, that makes me kind of want to buy some puts. But General Mills, be top, miss bottom, growth down, Winnebago. I mean, this is what we got until we get the financials. I saw yesterday, I mean, it's really fascinating. Bank of America and Citi, someone thinks they know something. Okay, let's be realistic. The financial earnings cycle should be, if it's not out of the park good, I can't imagine what it would be, because the balance sheets look so much better now, right? Low loss provisions. I mean, when you get such a big rate on the interest rate side, I mean, this is not rocket science. And if you did not do a good job with that, then you're going to get punished, because that's just crazy town, right? Toshiba. Okay. Demand slips. Yeah, well. To halt all vehicle shipments and widening sale. This is just Powerball. I'm saying, well, let me know. I don't play, so I can't win. FedEx stocks up after delivery giant forecast sales declines. But a lot of this, I think, is just so many things are changing, and I know this is going to be a big deal to the transports. Okay, check out to the Dow transports, but as a percentage, I mean, it's not. I mean, right? So, I mean, it's not a big percentage per se. I mean, these are the ones, and we're going to go over this stuff. These are the, I mean, where's FedEx? Not even the top 10. There we go. Here's FedEx right here. Okay. Delta. So I'm just saying. So these are the top 10, and then you see here. So, I mean, it's going to knock it down, but we'll see by how much. Okay. Now, for those of you who've been around here a long, long, long time, you know that I'm an institutionalist. If you don't know what an institutionalist is, I shall say this. Google it. So I believe in the institutions of government. It doesn't have to be government, but institutional standings. Okay, that's who I am and what I am. And I get really upset when. Okay, so this happened last night. I said, oh, well, it's going to have to go somewhere with this, because there's a couple other states are doing it as well, because of now you have to understand, well, where's this coming from? Guess what? This last time this was called upon, and this was the 14th Amendment came after the Civil War. Okay, and the fact that he actually meets the criteria is really something. So, it's just another little thing in American history that said, wow, I lived to see this happen. Who thought? But yeah, does it mean anything? Not really. But there's other states that are going to do this, so it has to go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court, guess what? Just like, those hanging chads, they're going to have to come out and say something. Dado, what? Hey, whatever. I mean, there's really not a lot. Those big canals in trouble. That's a big deal, right? PG fire victims will soon receive final compensation. Retail might have a tough time in 2020. Check those stocks. I mean, they're on a rip. Abercrombie and Fitch and a firm. I don't know. I just don't know. When I don't know something, I'm not afraid to say I don't. In 2024, there's a lot of unknowns. Okay. So 2023 was once in a lifetime. Well, maybe twice in a lifetime, sort of thing. Basically a one-hand type of event. But don't forget, we have 2020, 2 to 6 in a decade of bullish and yada yada. We got the And we know that in so I think, with this, the reason why I pivoted to small caps the first 3 months are strong, yada, yada, yada. And the only problem is now everybody's following what I've been saying, and I don't like that, for sure. But, whenever it's all said and done, who gives, screw the indices. It's about the individual stocks, knowing the companies, doing your homework, doing your research, and then basically looking at different sectors and stuff like that, or where you want to put your money. Okay, a lot of things are fun. A lot of what we're doing here is old news, right? Earnings, old news, right? It's forward lookingness, expectation, right? Okay, NDX, this is the cycle dude. All right, so this basically comes in right now, and he's looking for the 1.6, 17,090, okay, as the extension. That's why I would start looking for the next short term. It's also a cycle in place. Okay, so what does this mean for me? I don't sell the market. I don't go short the market. When I see stuff like that lining up, I say, okay, I'm going to trim, number one, and I'm going to put some hedges on. Do I get out of my stuff? No. But it's all about risk reward. And this is where twins, we always say it's all about risk reward. When potentially on an extension, you're only looking for, let's say, $100 higher, and the cold pullback could be hundreds of dollars. There is nothing wrong with taking profits and trimming. And that's what I've been doing the past couple days. And I've even been saying to twins, okay, Jens, I need to trim. Twins, tell me to trim. But a lot of the stuff I'm in are not correlated to some of the stuff that would come back down. See my dilemma. But this is what it's all about. Next weekly resistance, yada, yada, yada. The November 21. We know about that. All right, so let's move on. Okay. Tommy, this came in. We still see a high probability of year-end favoring small caps and financials in equal weight. Primary reason is 65%. Is anybody reading this? 65% of large cap fund managers are missing their benchmark. What does that tell you? This is all you need to know. Balance sheet FOMO, got to improve it. Fund managers buy beaten down and short names equal tax loss harvesting sales they're buying, right? Single stock shorts among highest levels in 5 years. Hedge funds? Reality triggers CTA buying of these names. Momentum plus retail investors are finally putting money into the equity market, see the potential. Okay. If you understand what's going on, it's a beautifully elegant narrative, right? Twins shouted this out. Okay, he did it. Me, I said the double bottom in October you had to buy because of seasonality, whatever. But he said they will buy the tax loss names because they can push them around and pop up their balance sheets. So a lot of these things that were sold for tax loss are already up 15, 20%. Is that enough? That is the question. Tommy Boy says, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. I'll see. I don't know. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Like I said, I mean, you just have to understand how these things maneuver around here. And it doesn't mean anything except end of the year stuff. It doesn't mean anything for next year. It just means for this year. For the next week. That's all it means. Based on very last remarks for the Tether, and there are many coming this week, may have stumbled into two-pronged communication approach in response to, talking about Swazian. We know this. And look, I told you real time, this is the dovish you're going to hear out of Powell. Most bullish statements for the market out of Powell. I said that real time for you. Okay? You looked at the dot plot and we made great money in this room. But now they say, oh, no, what am I going to do? I'm going to wring my hands. I'm going to do the asset classes. Everything's going up. Whatever. So I've got Russell made a new 50-week high today after hitting a 52-week. That's the shortest turnaround time in the very interesting. Go since 1970s. See, this is where understanding elasticity theory. Okay. I went on a limb on this call, and you know I did, on the small caps. I mean, I went on this, I said, this is it. Okay, let's talk about the elasticity theory. The elasticity theory is that you have an extension that is so stretched, the snapbacks are like the mother of all snapbacks. Okay, and they happen fast, furious, way beyond the standard deviation. Across the board, even the Dow is at all-time highs. Across the board, the lowly small caps still have a long way to go. I'm just saying. But this is why I go over all these charts pre-market. I go over hundreds and hundreds, and I look at these relationships. I look at spreads because I want to say from Peter to Paul, well, who's overbought, who's oversold? Who can bounce the most even within a sector? Okay, this is middle class increasing cautious when to buy. Okay, how much will you spend on travel? Okay, how much will you spend? How much will you spend on clothes? Okay, less. Okay, now this is China. I didn't say that, right? An AI to handle paperwork for establishing new nuclear. Fantabulous. Okay, so this AI is going to be, and this is another thing that's going to keep these people vulnerable. The AI is going to create a paradigm that the past cannot prepare us for. The speed, okay, so think of it, the different revolutions, right? Industrial revolution, right? I mean, first you got fire, and then well, anyways, you got components, you got the car, and I mean, just think about it, the speed in which the change of rate of speed that's going to happen. Think about it. That's what people are not prepared for. Okay. As part of the push to middle class Aeon Center. Okay. AVGO, seriously. What the hell's wrong with that? He's allowed to pay himself. Come on, wouldn't you? Okay, seriously. If you had an epic of all rallies, would you not pay yourself? Yeah, it's like, okay, and what's the problem here? Believe it or not, the government 2 year, from January to here, just about to break even. Thank you for playing interest rates in 2023. Isn't that crazy? I didn't realize that. From the beginning of the year to date. Oh my God, I love what we do. It's all said and done, up, down, and all the way around. Okay. Merging of debt. Just saying. Merging of debt. This is why when people say, oh, they look at it only at a surface value data shout out saying, oh, the sky is falling. I don't think so. So what is that? There's lots of cash to be spent. That's all I have to say. Okay, for those of you who are car aficionados, the Maserati, this is not a buy and hold sort of thing. Just saying. For 5 years, it's like a 1 year own and then you sell it. Maybe 2 years. This is a depreciating asset. Okay, I'm just saying, for those of you who like your little tricky cars, it's just not a good look to buy and hold it. Maybe use it up for 1 or 2 years. To escalate, seriously? I'm just saying. It's Jaguar, Audi. Don't buy and hold, friends. Do not buy and hold. You got to rotate that through every year. Jinping says, yes, unified China, Taiwan with China. Yeah, this comment has been going on since 1946. Educate yourself. Educate yourself. China has said the same thing since 1946. 19.6. Just saying. This is what really upsets me. Oh, this is the fun. Look at this. This is a great ad. Base dash. Connect your SQL database. The admin panel you spent 3 weeks on. The one bad. I mean, that's fantastic ad. 80 billion wipe out next year warrants capital economics. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. Okay, what do we got? Corporate bankruptcy are surging all. Yeah, okay. That's not a bad thing. Just saying. The effective, the real rate is 3%. The real inflation rate. I didn't find that. There's a site that has actually the real. It's a nonprofit that gives you the real inflation rate is 3%. Yeah, they're not going to look. They're now saying in the coming years. Okay, that's what they're saying. Right? That's what they're saying. Paramount gets boosted as Wells Fargo's bumps rating. I don't know. Mergers and acquisitions. I don't know. I made my money. I'm done. Owner ByteDance sees sales across to surpass 10 cents. Yeah, NVIDIA director sells stocks. We know that. What? Boot stock slips. Blah, blah, blah. Dan Ives, yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, that's not something that Apple would do, but you never know. Right? Let's take a look. Okay, so NVIDIA. 1.2 million, 3.4 million, March, 5/10. This is January. Okay, this could be a calendar, who knows? We got SPY, not much going on here. And then we got Apple hedges coming in. IWM hedge came in. 2.5 million, right? 3 million, 3.5 million. Right? Citi. This is why I say Citi normally doesn't in the top tier here. 39 orders, 6.3 million. I don't know what. Yeah. Just saying. Las Vegas Sands, that's that order that South Beach had mentioned. I don't know how meaningful it is, but no, it's tough. This time of year, guys, it's really hard to read the tea leaves. So let's see, what do we got? No, not a whole lot. EPD, enterprise products, it's not. I mean, like I say, a lot of this stuff is UN stuff going on. Cabaletta. Gwen, paying her side. Well, she's a Sealy Mugs, whatever. I mean, okay, let's see what any of these knuckleheads have to say. Discover Financial is getting lots of everybody loves it. Citigroup, 71% neutral to buy. Okay, 20% up. Okay, cool. KeyCorp. I mean, obviously, Paramount. This is the one they were talking about. 58%. Okay, so not horrible. Yeah, went from underweight to equal weight. Okay, big deal, right? Helix, Timken. A lot of this is obviously on pricing, right? Buy to hold, right? Valuation basis. Costco. Buy to neutral. Once again, Costco's expensive. And I love Costco, but I've really trimmed it out of my portfolio right now. Ling Central. No, Ling never gets, I mean, that's all right. Anyways, let's see about initiations. Who's busy this time of year? McDonald's. Yeah, but I mean, seriously. For Florian Richard Roth, buy 41%. Like I say. Okay, so let's talk expectation. The expectation is that there will be a rate cut in March. That's the expectation. I don't think so. Well, no. The reason why I say that is look what's going on in the balance sheet in the background. I just don't think so. I just don't think so. So, expectation. The bond market, where we are right now, is pricing in a cut in March. The bond market right now is pricing in 2 more cuts into June. The bond market right now, that's 3 cuts. The bond market right now is pricing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cuts. The Fed has told us 3 to 4 cuts for the most part. The bond market's saying, oh no, au contraire, au contraire. This is what's built into. We don't want to see this. I keep saying it. We want a strong, we got a Goldilocks economy, nothing too hot, nothing too cold. We want to see it shifting so it's not 7 cuts. We don't want to see it below 4%. Now, interestingly enough, the peeps at Tommy Lee's place are looking for 4.25% by the end of the year. So they're not buying into these other 2 cuts. So they're basically buying into the narrative of 3 to 4 cuts. The rest of these yahoos, no comment. Yeah. Are you in my hoodie and the blowfish, Robert? Did you follow me on the hoodie and the blowfish? Anyways, this is expectation. Last year, I went on a limb in the beginning of the year, and I said to you, and that was the high in March, I said, there is no friggin' way these guys are right on the bond side that we get this many cuts. The economy is too strong. I'm going out on a limb right now again and saying, yes, we will get cuts, but there's no friggin' way we're going to get 7 cuts. That's my story. Because it's the only way this happens is a deep recession / deflationary cycle. And you know, I do not see that. You know, I don't see that. Anyways, Striker, I did buy some Striker. This is actually has a really good, but it's really expensive. So I bought some equity on this, just so you know. For those of you who would like to know what I do, so a lot of these are just so expensive and it's really almost impossible to, you know, get that going. This Cooper company, I like this too. Becton Dixon, it's not, I like at least a few months, right? All right, so let's take a look here. This is Q's highs. S&P, look at this, bouncing, right? And here we have here IWM bouncing. So what does this mean? You're taking, trimming from the Qs and going, yeah, you know the drill. There's a method to this madness. I will once again show you. This is all you need to know, okay? Right? That's all you need to know. This goes back to 1926. $1 growth, small caps versus large cap, from December 11th to February 11th. $1 of large cap, $1 of small cap. How can you not make this bet? And I showed this to you, and I've been pounding the table on this. How can you not, this goes back to 1926. How can you not take that bet? This is how I do it. What is this? $40, $30 versus $970? And it's already started. Just say. And the other way around, from February to December, look at it. Like I say, this is, if you're gonna do it, and this is the buy and hold. I'm out of this trade before you know it. But I mean, you know, I'm in this trade. That's all I have to say is, like, okay. And I know a lot of you followed me, and congrats. All right, here we go, a little bit. It's sloppy choppy right now, right? I'm kind of getting that feeling. You know, I mean, here's the Dow, a little sloppy choppy too at the end of the month. I'm probably going to be exiting my Dow stuff like ASAP. Here's the NASDAQ, still has strength in it to the end of the year. And here's the Russell. A little bit of it pulls, but for the most part, it's still strong. It's about breath. Lots of red. We have to have a pullback. You know that, don't you, right? Everybody's saying, amen. I'm just saying, we do have to have a pullback. Coming. sooner rather than later, as they say. Okay. I don't know what it's going to look like. Maybe FedEx starts it. I don't know, but it's something that we have to be aware of. Okay. All right. What else have we got? Let's take a look here. This is the heat map. Once again, we need a pullback. Okay. It doesn't. All it takes is a couple down days, and that's one down day. This will reset, right, on the extension. But it's really rosy. So we need one day. I mean, you know, it actually, because of the way this is setting up, it all has to do is be like a slight red day to reset all these things. It doesn't take much at this point in time. All right, let's do it. Let's get to our bonds. There we go. There we go. Once again, it's the 10-year. I keep talking about this, and I keep saying this. Right? People in the wrong part of the curve. I just keep saying this. The best bang for your buck is in the 10-year. And I mean, look at this. I keep saying this. The inversion continues to happen again. Your best bet is everybody's piled into the front end. And I don't like that trade. I keep saying I don't like that trade. Canada down, everybody down across the board. Right? All right, here's the 210. See what happens here. This has already been this 210. I mean, anyways. See what happens if we hold up here. The 10-2 on the inversion. I know. This is, I'll be honest with you, this is going to get, well, you know the drill. Here's a 3-month 10-year. This is a big deal, okay? Because this one is leading the charge. And you know, this is what I look at. I don't care about what everybody else says. The 10-3 has been the bellwether for me for decades and decades, for hundreds, as long as it's been around, okay? This is what concerns me. This the acceleration on this with this 10 versus the 3. That's a big deal in terms of funding and stuff like that. Okay. And that's moving rapidly on the downside. Just saying. Is the 5-10. Where's my 10-year? How do we do these? This is a weekly. It's at the, okay, so what's the good news? The good news is the Bollinger's starting to curl up. If we are going to make that next leg, then we have to consolidate and flag out. This is the weekly. Basically, there'll be a little bit of pullback and hold up and then curve out. That would be the good news. Let's take a look at the 30 against. Okay, that's not what I was looking for. There you go. Okay, so here's the 10. And here's the 30. Okay. So this is fine. Stable. No big deal. Right? China. Germany. Breaking. So this is powerful. Very, very powerful for the economy over there, right? It's got a long way to go, too. But the problem is, you know, like I say, they have the big O, right? Recession. We don't. Dollar, doing nothing. China yuan, doing nothing. Cryptos, up a little bit. Commodities, lead, green. Looks like it's around 55, 45. I mean, it's pretty evenly split here. Agro stuff is going up, right? Natural gas is going up, crude's going up, right? So see how that plays out, right? BBC. So this is really interesting. So I'm not in anything right now, but we're at a level that I might be interested in thinking about it. So these are the different metals, mining commodities, right? I'm looking at this one. I have to get back into it. Daddy gas still holding up pretty good. It's trying to do a bottoming. Like I say, this was going to take some time. Okay. Crude. Hard candle there. Reclaiming this extension. Gold crude. Interesting. This is really consolidated, which is very unusual. So when this breaks, because it's a monthly chart, when this thing breaks, it's going to be a big move one way or the other. Gold. Just messing around here. Buying its time. It's not ready yet. Everybody thought it was ready, but it's not. Just the ideal narrative right now for us is it's too soon yet. So we'll see how that plays out. And here's silver. This one's not ready yet, but this one will probably be the first one to go. Okay, let's look at it. S&P VIX is down. Okay, so the VIX is doing its own thing. So you really can't look at it as much because of where we are with it. Okay. But small caps slightly down. I mean, nothing. I mean, come on, seriously. This is like, nothing. All right, so let's look at the transports. All right, so the transports are going to be down. They have double top. So when it's all said and done, we're in the upper quadrant, and we have to be aware that it did not break out. Okay. Can it break out? Yeah. But work to be done now. So we're getting a pullback, right? And we have to be aware of that pullback, and we'll see how it plays out. But with FedEx, it's FedEx. I mean, this has been a tough company for a while now, right? Because if you look at here, all right, so here's the transports against the industrials, right? So we had a bounce here, right? But the reality still is the transports, okay, wasn't the thing that was really getting stuff going, but it helped the Dow. But this isn't what got it to the all-time highs, right? So I'm just saying that, yeah, but if you look at it in terms of the internals, the transports against the Dow, look at the Dow theory, right? It's interesting, but it didn't reclaim, right? Does that mean the Dow itself rolls over? I don't know. I think it's time to trim for sure. I mean, I'm overweight there. I'm in the UDow. Okay, so I think it's time for me to trim. But what I'm probably going to do is I'm basically just going to buy some SDow as a hedge against it. Okay. I don't like getting out of stuff because you just don't know. So here's the transports against the SPY. So this was indeed bouncing, but it's still, I mean, this is not what you would call a leader of the pack. And you actually don't, in this regard, because of the way where we are in the cycle, you really don't want it, but you do want to make sure on the downside, right, that this isn't signaling that something's going to happen. Here's the Dow transports against the IW. Oh, this is a totally different narrative. Okay, come on. I mean, this you have to give me some slack on, right? Against the IWM, right? I mean, just because the IWM was the bastard child for 2023. I mean, the dirty little secret out there, nobody wanted it. Right? And this is not a bad thing, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That the IWM it's all about risk reward. Here's the transports against the Qs. It really never did much. It stabilized. But the reality still is, when it's all said and done, you sure as hell, in a bull market, next leg up, want the transports to lead that one. Now, on meaningful lows, you may want to see it. I mean, in a bear market, but not in a bull market. Okay? I'm just talking out loud. Transports against the FANG. Well, no, H pattern should start to break low, and that's not a bad thing. But this is actually a big pivot going back a few years. So this does have ramifications, just so you know. Okay, on the downside. I mean, There's an extension here, right? We'll see. All right, so let's talk. Okay, so when you talk about the transports, okay, this is the top dog, Matson, right? A beautiful U cup handle. Let's see how it plays out. FedEx is not as important in the sense that it tells us about economic flows to some degree overseas, right? Which we know is soft and stuff like that. But don't forget a lot like Amazon, a lot of these companies are creating their own little fleets out there. Amazon and stuff like that. So less and less is happening. You've got DoorDash. I mean, all kinds of stuff going on right now, right? But this is the top dog when it comes to transports. In the index, this is it. And I'm going through the top ones. Believe it or not, Alaska Airlines is also important in this one. Okay. Landstar. Now, this is the one you know, ODFL, this one. And this is actually starting to enter strong seasonality, Old Dominion Freight. It's a pretty looking little chart. We'll see how it plays out. I don't think there's going to be a contagion off of FedEx because, you know, I like rails a lot more. You know, I've always liked rails better than FedEx UPS. You know that. So we'll see how that plays out. Love is in there. Let's see how I mean, so you've got the airlines, you've got these different things, and then you have FedEx. Okay, look, can't put lipstick on the pig. Okay, but to be honest with you, all right, if we can hold this reversion back here, okay, basically this is the 20 EMA, right, into support here, right? It basically got totally rebuffed. This is why I have 78.6% FIPS on friends. Totally rebuffed, okay, at the 78.6. You say yourself, how? Because these are in programs, believe it or not. This is not just magic. Somebody else puts this into their programs too. Right? So now we're back down here. We'll see if it gets put up. I have no interest in this. So if you say, Beth, do you want to buy this for your portfolio? Not really. If it were down here, I'd say, well, hell yeah. Maybe down here, I don't know. But you know, like I say, it's just not something that interests me. And then you can see even here, right, here's the spread. All right, let's take a look at the DAX, still holding the breakout. FTSE, well, trying. Well, FTSE, it's so heavily commodity weighted.
Ready to pop on here. Alrighty, guys, what's going on? Thank you, Beth. Morning, everybody. Let me just pop up the screen share here. So if you guys are new to chat and have done so, make sure to click on that Discord link that's emailed to you. Pop in a chat, looks something a little bit like this. First area to go to when you guys do come in, click on that disclaimer section, give it a read, as well as go through the new to chat information section at the very top. Top of the section, see a link to the disclaimer as well as this bolded risk reward section. Super important to understand both in regards to risk reward, most important ratio in trading. So definitely worth checking out in that regard. Continue to scroll down. We have the summary of how this chat works, breaks down all the channels work on the left-hand side so you can properly navigate the chat through the day. Important to know where to be looking. Continue to scroll down. We have the, continue to scroll down. Where's my Discord? Oh, there it is. Continue to scroll down. We have the how to read alerts on the option equity side, breaking down how to read alerts on both sides. Pretty straightforward in that regard. Below that, options and rules that we use Monday to Thursday in regards to controlling risk. Scaling in, scaling up, trading different price contracts, etc., etc. SPX rules right below that. Continue to scroll down. If any of the small account less than 10K, breaking down. If you do have a smaller account less than 10K, so rules, information, discipline you can put in place, you have a better chance of growing that account, in our opinion. Had big ideas from an option or equity perspective below that. All right, let's take a look at the pre-market tickers on watch. What do we got going on today, guys? A couple different things. Tesla, NVIDIA, ARGX, FedEx, TTC, POL. So Tesla gapping down, same with the market, same with NVIDIA. ARGX released top line results for its phase 3 address study. The trial did not meet primary or secondary endpoints, gapping down on that. FedEx gapping down on earnings, TTC gapping up on earnings, and POL gapping up on heavy retail volume. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. So the first two we're going to be looking at today, guys, are going to be Tesla and NVIDIA. Let's have a look. All right, so Tesla, NVIDIA. Let's see here. Tesla 256.65 pivot level holds 266.62. Whoops, actually, you know what? There's a resistance level here. I want to label, and then here. And I also want the support and this one as well. It's because it's a tighter range. That's better. All right, there we go. Okay. So Tesla pivot to the upside today, 256.39 levels able to hold, 259.22, 261.68, unable to hold. We look for a pullback towards 252.85 to 249.92. Going to be leaning bullish if this pivot point can hold. Still looks like it's holding its range quite well. Just needs to break this range high for the next leg up. So we'll see if that pivot point's able to hold for continuation. That's Tesla. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. Oops. And I like the semiconductors potentially today for a continuation. They usually get like, a day of consolidation, which was yesterday. Now they're flagging out. If the market's able to push, these semiconductors can hold up. I do think the semis can actually push today. That little gap extension's filled. 493.58 pivot levels able to hold 498.34. We have 505, 13 to unable to hold 49.01 to 482.70 downside leaning bullish, looking for a push higher as long as that pivot point is able to be reclaimed this morning. So again, out of that consolidation area, we'll see if the semis will all need to push together if they're going to move today, in my opinion. So, or at least the big ones, NVIDIA, AVGO, SMCI type of deal, potentially AMD as well. So that's Tesla. That is NVIDIA. Let's take a look at the next two guys. So ARGX and FedEx. The ARGX, let's see here, gapping down. We're at 344. Pretty big gap down there. Actually, huge gap down there. Okay. 344 pivot to the downside today, unable to hold 331.79 at 321.51. Able to hold 359.40 to 368.81, leaning bearish if that pivot point's unable to hold. Let's take a look at FedEx. So FedEx gapping down as well. All right, 231.98 pivot to the downside today, unable to hold 224.99 to 219. 68 on the downside, able to hold 235.12, 240, 36, 240, 36 on the upside. Overall, going to be leaning bearish, looking for continuation to the downside today as well if that pivot point's unable to hold. Let's take a look at the next two guys. We got that TTC and POL. TTC, POL. Let's have a look. I should go a little bit higher. Does have the round. All right, pivot to the upside today, 94.92 levels able to hold 96.68 to 99.59. Unable to hold 92.38 to the 90.08 downside leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push higher if the pivot point is able to hold. That's TTC. Let's take a look at pull. There. 220 pivot level holds 242. to 265. Unable to hold 190 to 164 downside, leading bullish neutral. If pivot point is able to hold there as well. That's POL, that is TTC. Next two. Next names. Let's take a look at the SPY and the FANG. As we always do. Play well that last day high here. All right, so pivot to the upside today, 273.86. Market's still holding, most ranges on the daily. EMA supports intact. It looks good. 273.86 pivot levels able to hold 274.93, 276.10. Unable to hold 272.93 on the downside. If that level breaks, we have room for continuation lower to 272.42. Leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push. That's the SPY. Let's take a look at Apple. Apple 195.87 pivot levels able to hold 196.46, 196.65. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback on Apple into the 195.06 to 195, 194.36 downside, leaning on the bullish neutral side there as well, in my opinion. Amazon guys pivot to the downside today. 152.67 level holds 153.80 to 155.09. Unable to hold 150.95 to 148.84 on the downside, leaning on the bearish neutral side there today. If that pivot's unable to hold, it should be a little bit of a crack of that flag range for continuation lower. So we'll see what happens there. Kind of sitting on the line at the moment. Particularly Netflix. $490.94 pivot level holds 496.35, 501.03, unable to hold 484.27. If that level breaks, we got room for continuation lower to 474.09 downside, leaning on the bullish side if the pivot point's able to hold as well. Let's take a look at Google. Sorry, Meta, and then Google. Meta. Meta 348.15 pivot level holds 350, 356, 357, 76, unable to hold 345.21 to the 38.30 downside, leaning bullish on this name, looking for a continuation push higher. And then the last but not least on the FANG names, Google. I'm talking gander at that. Pop up. Is that true? Yes. Just there we go. Yeah, I can actually see it 138.92. All righty. $138.27 pivot levels holds 139.48 to 140.59. Unable to hold 137.26. If that level breaks, we have room lower to 135.27 on the downside. Maybe leaning bullish if that pivot point's able to hold as well. So that's a SPY. That's a FANG. Those are the individual names that we're looking at today, guys. Gonna go ahead and pass it over to South Beach while I type out the pre-market action plan, and then we'll do a quick little recap before the open. South Beach, Freddie, it's all yours. Actually, just real quick, guys. 1265 pivot on VIX level hold 1332, 1382. Unable to hold 1231, 1182. I'm just going to finish off these ones because I realized looking at the time, I got a little bit more time here. Let me just quickly do these last two. That's the VIX, and not leading any particular direction on the VIX, just watching it. Take a look at the Qs. Yeah, we need a fib on the Qs, eh? That's impressive. All right, 409.06 QQQ pivot level holds 412.17, unable to hold 407.24 to 405.42, leaning on the bullish neutral side only if we can get above that pivot point today. And then last but not least, guys, SPX. Let's have a look at that. All right, SPX 477.72 pivot. Levels able to be reclaimed 480.05, unable to hold 47.41, 47.10 downside. Leaning bullish only if we can get back above the pivot there as well. All right, guys, now that's the spots of thing. Those are the individual names that we're looking at. Gonna go and pass it over to Selfie while I type up the pre-market action plan. And then we'll do a quick little recap before the open. Selfie, if you're ready, she's all yours now. Just give it a second, guys. He'll pop on.
One of those days I'm talking without the mic on. All right, sorry guys. All right, so hump day, let's see what we got going on. Let's look at the technicals. I'm not surprised market is opening a little lower, but in a bull phase like we're seeing now, you often see, them open lower to go higher. So that would be my expectation, but we'll see. All right, the S&P looks fantastic, going after those new highs at 480-ish, and it's perfect. I mean, what can you say, right? Let's look at the oscillator and see where we are on that, because that's the concern isn't the technicals, it's the overbought situation, right? So we're at 45, which is, at the high end of a range, but it's not ridiculously high. But like I always say, and I say it every time, just to not give you a false narrative, this overbought oscillator is really not great at calling tops. It's fantastic at calling bottoms. It's kind of crappy at calling tops. So, that's important to note. All right, so the S&P looks fantastic. Let's look at the Qs. It's going to be basically the same. All right, even with, basic weakness that we've seen for the last week or so in these FANG stocks. I mean, look at Google, it's flat. Amazon's up a little bit. Apple's probably flattish the last week or so. Meta's been pretty good though, right? And I don't know. So the Qs look good too. Let's look at the Russell. My particular favorite right now. We have 240 to the old highs. And did they get through 200? Yes. So they're through 200. I think, it's a pretty good setup. You had that gap, held the gap on the daily, good EMA support, and it looks like it's going to bust through that 1, 2. This would be the 4th time at this level since April or so of last year. So it looks pretty strong to me. And the last but not least, transports were through 16,000, and that average looks fantastic as well. Okay, it looks the old highs are way up there at 18,000, but I think it's attainable over time. Market looks really good technically, no equivocation there. All right, the only concern is it overbought? Let's look at the bond market this morning, and the long end of the curve continues to go down. Okay, we got the 10-year now at 387, right? in mid to early October, it was 5. So that's a pretty extraordinary move, right? That's like what, 30 something percent? What is that? 123. 5. 25%. Okay, so pretty good move there. The 2 years gone from 511 to 437, and that's down another 0.06. So we have lower yields across the board. Short end, not so much, but starting with the 2 year, it's about 0.06, pretty much across the curve. Okay. London had some inflation numbers we'll get to in a minute, but their yields are getting smashed today. So we got the 10-year there down 0.13, okay, at 352. So they've gone from 476 to 352, actually more than we have, okay? And like the 2-year paper is 411 versus our 437. So not a big difference on that, but the 10 years more of a difference. Their 10 years at 350, ours is at 380. So whatever. Our inversion, let's see, I forgot to talk about that. That's 52, which is exactly where it was yesterday. So the yields down across the board in London and Euro and Italy and France, Germany, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so lower yields across the board, lower yields, more appetite for risk assets, right? The only caveat would be if this is a recessionary reason, and I'm not smart enough to tell you if we're going into a recession or not. And quite frankly, I think thinking about it is a waste of brain cells. It's not going to do you any good. The market will tell you over time where to be. All right, let's look at commodities this morning. We have oil up $1, still right in the middle of that 70-80 trading range. It dipped below 70 for a day or two, and right back in that range. Natural gas is, if it was an EKG, the patient would be declared dead, never moves. Gold is down a little bit. Copper is in that trading range, kind of moving towards the upper end of that range. And these agricultural commodities, we were getting lumber moving like $50, $60 a day. It hasn't moved in forever. I mean, just like in this really tight $25 trading range, and it's been staying there. And these other agricultural commodities, with the exception of maybe, like I tell you, cocoa is way at the top there. Kind of sort of why I like Hershey. I think they'll probably miss their earnings, and then the commodity will trade down like it always does. So that's the commodity situation. Let's look at currency wise. Okay, so dollars mixed against North America, up against, actually down against the yen, up against China currency only barely, and fractionally unchanged at in the pound and the euro. So 109, 126 there. Crypto's been the hot commodity, and it continues to be. Okay, we had that little weakness on Monday. We had a bounce back Tuesday, and we have an explosion today. 4% on Bitcoin, almost 4% on Ethereum, and Solana's up 7%. So clearly, this is the momentum trade out there for sure, right? And last but not least, let's look at the foreign markets. We have the FTSE up 1%, DAX is up, barely up 1.5% or 0.15%. Nikkei, another good day. So that comment by the BOJ is having some follow through, keeping rates effectively, real rates below zero. They're up 1%. China continues to go into the shit house. It's down over 1%. Hong Kong up a little bit, 0.5%. Taiwan's basically flat. Okay. This Chinese market never seems to amaze, give any hope. It opens in the morning and it fades in the afternoon. So maybe if we get a downdraft this morning, it'll rally in the afternoon. I don't know. But I know these stocks suck, and I wouldn't buy them for all the tea in China, so to speak. Okay. So banks and Fed. We have one Fed governor speaking today is Goolsbee. And right now, the odds of people thinking there's going to be a rate cut at the next meeting is 12%. And 88% says they're going to leave rates flat. So we've gone from what percentage people think it's gonna go up, to now what percentage people think it's gonna go down. So that's kind of sort of the sea change, right? So that's the current odds of things. So that's the banks and Fed, China, Russia, we'll discuss in a moment. Crypto, we discussed. Mr. Market yesterday. What did we have yesterday? Not a bad trading day, actually. Market was real good. Dow was up 250. I think that was a new high. SPYs were up 23, NASDAQ 77, transports 141. So what were the hot groups? Okay, we had solar was hot. We had banks, we had insurance, materials were good. Machinery, big oil and gas. Casinos were good. And those were the best groups. And actually, you know, we were in that really tight trading range most of the day, like a 3-point range until the end of the day. So it was kind of tight, but if you had patience, you could make some dough. Okay. And that was yesterday. All right. So S&P closed at a record. Dow has had, or close to a record, I should say. Dow hits 9-day winning streak. I haven't seen that in a while. S&P was up 0.59, NASDAQ 0.68, and that's that. Okay, mortgage demand has actually dropped, even with the lowering of rates. So 707 goes to 683. That's the mortgage rate on a 10-year loan. And maybe it's the time of year. I'm not quite sure. But if rates keep going down, you could rest assured that mortgage demand will go up. The only issue here is how many people are living in homes with really low interest rates, you know, 2-3%. Are they going to move? Probably not, okay, because their cost of living in that home is so low, it's tough to get rid of a mortgage and pay twice as much for the same amount of money. So we'll see how it flies. That's what I think leads to the bullishness in the home builders, okay, because at least they're bringing out some supply. All right, supply is going to be tight as long as people don't want to, you know, stretch for borrowing more money and paying twice as much for it, which I don't really blame them. So that's that. UK inflation, I was going to mention that, you know, that's why that bond market's down. It came in at 3.9% versus 4.4% expectations. So that's pretty positive. And what was it? Year over year, 5.1 versus 5.6. So they're seeing inflation numbers that are handily beating expectations there. And that's subsequently you're getting lower yields. Okay. Online shopping since the pandemic. You would think it would be off a little bit, but actually it's gone from 51% of total sales to 55%. Amazon owns the lion's share of that business. They're saying 74%. That sounds really high to me. I mean, I order from Amazon, but is it 74% of everything I order? And then Walmart 16%. What about all these smaller companies? I find these numbers hard to believe, but that's what CNBC is saying. So I'm just repeating it, although I would call bullshit on it, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. So with Ukraine, they were trying to do this funding agreement by year end, and the US government, in their infinite wisdom or lack thereof, again whiffed, and they're not talking about it until next year. So these guys couldn't sit at a table and hash out a compromise, which would be something in the border and something for Ukraine. And they just, Washington is so, I don't know, in my lifetime, I've never seen it this dysfunction. Okay. They just can't sit down at the table and make agreements. So how's that going to play out at the end? Your guess is as good as mine. Okay. So that's that one. But this has been a recurring theme in Washington. And it doesn't matter which way you lean, Republican, left wing, right wing, it doesn't matter. The facts are the facts. They can't sit down and really hash out any kind of movement. Ukraine is also looking to for 450 to 500,000 new recruits. And since Zelensky basically fired his whole recruiting team a few weeks back, that's starting to look problematic. So Ukraine is kind of between put it this way, it's worth watching. Things there look a little precarious. Let's leave it at that. Venezuela president is meeting with Putin next few weeks. They can have each other. Good luck. Let's see what else we got. Russia continues to bomb the crap out of this Kiev. This is the 5th day in a row. There's a CEO of some tech stock, Sinvale. I don't know it, guys, but the CEO was charged with defrauding investors of 41 million. MoffettNathanson is one of the few analysts you can listen to in their sector. Their sector is really communications and cable and stuff like that. And their top stock for 24 would be Charter Communications. My top stock for 24 would be MSGS. I like it much better than Charter. Okay, Charter has a problem because people are moving away from, legacy cable companies. So I don't know why they would pick Charter. MSGS, if they started selling, the stock would double. So that's my favorite by a mile. Trump has been banned from the Colorado ballot. That obviously is going to be taken to court. Seems Trump is in court more than he's out there campaigning. But anyway, that's going to court. They're citing a post-Civil War provision that bans insurrectionists from holding office. So they're claiming January 6th was an insurrection, and therefore he can't get on their ballot. All right, yeah, it's a primary ballot. So we'll see what happens with that. Clearly, it will be contested, and we'll see. I would imagine that he'll be able to get that turned, but who knows? This avoiding the Red Sea is continuing, even with the U.S. and its allies saying that they will provide safety from vessels, in the Red Sea. But a lot of people are deciding, a lot of shippers are deciding to go vis-a-vis the Cape of Good Hope and around South Africa. So that's that story. Apple is continuing this lawsuit regarding or trying to deal with this problem. The lawsuit they lost as far as a patent infringement on oxygen levels on their watch, and that's a question mark. FedEx whiffed. Is it a FedEx issue, or is it a Christmas is not coming this year issue? I think it's rear view mirror, so I wouldn't say it's the latter, although it is guidance. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. I know Amazon went into the business, and I'm sure they got a lot of share. And if Amazon is doing 74% of online shipping or online shopping, like they said, it would make sense that FedEx would be a little soft. Okay, but my read on this stock is, okay, last quarter they knocked the cover off the ball, and all these analysts ran in, they upgraded the stock, if you recall. The quarter before they whiffed. All these analysts ran in and downgraded the stock. Now they whiff again. So you got a whiff, a hit the ball out of the park, and another whiff. So these guys are downgrading, some of them downgrading the stock, lowering their targets. What's my point? FedEx is a really hard stock to predict, number one. And number two, these analysts can't find their ass with both hands. Okay, so it just reinforces my feeling that you can't listen to these guys for more than a couple of hours in the morning. Okay, on the short side, you had Steelcase. Now, we saw that big buyer at the end of the day. Obviously, he was wrong. FedEx missed. General Mills missed. And they're charging what, like $8 for a box of cereal, and they still miss. Winnebago missed also. Okay. Baba has a new CEO of a couple of their divisions. What else do we have? DLCU was downgraded. Bros has a secondary, Blue had a secondary way in the hole, $1.50. GH has trouble with an FDA issue. CVRE, a shelf, CRM was downgraded by Wells Fargo. Crisp, chief medical officer, left. And a couple of stocks down. ARGX had negative results, top line results, and IMVT and Biohaven are down in sympathy. Okay, that's it for me. Pass it to Spartan. We'll see how the market goes. My expectations probably in a bull tape, they open lower to trade higher, but we'll see. Okay, Spartan, it's all yours.
All right, thank you, South Beach guys. Morning, what's up? What's going on? So if you guys are new to chat, if you haven't already done so, make sure to click on that Discord link that's emailed to you. Pop in a chat. It does look something a little bit like this. For sure to go to when you guys do come in. Disclaimer section, click on that, give it a read. As well as go to the new to chat information section, scroll to the very, very top. Top of the section, you'll link to the disclaimer as well as this bolded risk reward section. Super important to understand both in regards to risk reward, most important ratio in trading. So definitely worth going through that section there before doing anything, my opinion. Continue to scroll down. You have summary of how this chat works, breaks down all these channels work on the left-hand side so you can properly navigate the chat throughout the day. Below that, how to read alerts on the options and equity side, pretty straightforward in that regard. Below this, we have the options rules that we use Monday to Thursday in regards to controlling risk, scaling in, scaling out, trading different price contracts, etc., etc. SPX rules right below that. Continue to scroll down. We have anyone with a small account, less than 10K breaking down. If you do have a smaller account, less than 10K, here's some rules, information, discipline you can put in place. You can better manage your account. How to pick ideas from an options or equity perspective. And lastly, high conviction small account trades posted in that area when they do make sense. Pre-market tickers on watch. What do we got going on today, guys? A couple different things. So we got Tesla, NVIDIA, ARGX, FedEx, TTC, and Pull. So Tesla gapping up, or sorry, gapping down the market, same with NVIDIA. ARGX gapping down on missing their phase 3 primary and secondary endpoints. FedEx gapping down on earnings. TTC gapping up on earnings, and Pull gapping up on heavy retail volume. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint. Intraday, first two we are looking at today, guys, Tesla and ARGX. Let's have a look. All right, guys, Tesla 256.39 pivot level holds. We got room towards 259.22 to 261.68. Unable to hold 252.85 to 249.92. Downside leaning bullish neutral there. Let's take a look at ARGX. Oh, ARGX. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA, there we go. Pivot to the upside today, 493.58 level holds, 498.34, 505.13, unable to hold 489.01 to 482.70, downside leaning bullish neutral there. Let's take a look at ARGX and then the FedEx there. There we go. I got to go daily at FedEx, I think. Yeah. FedEx 344.66 pivot, unable to hold 331.79, 321.51, able to hold 354.90 to 366.81. Leaning on the bullish neutral, or sorry, leaning on the bearish neutral side of ARGX. FedEx pivot to the upside today, 251.43 level holds, 255.94, 263.21, unable to hold 245.68 to 240.37, leaning bullish only if that pivot can be reclaimed. Let's take a look at TTC and Pull. TTC 94.92 pivot level holds 96.68, 99.59, unable to hold 92.38 to 90.08, downside leaning bullish. POL pivot upside today is going to be 220 level holds 242, 265, unable to hold 190 to 164, downside leaning bullish on that. Let's take a look at the spine of the FANG. Let's go onto the daily chart. Okay, so let's take a look at the SPY here, guys. There we go. Pick this up as I usually do. So SPY 473.86 pivots to the upside today. Holds room into the 474.93 resistance breaks. We see the 476.10 tested. Pivot, unable to hold. Room lowered into the 472.93 support. Breaks, we see the 472.42 tested. Leaning bullish, neutral if pivot holds So pivot holds, guys, we should see continuation higher. If it's unable to hold, then obviously lower we go. That's the SPY. Let's take a look at the rest of the thing here. All right, Apple. Pivot to the upside today, going to be the 195.87 level holds 196.46, 196.95, unable to hold 195.06 to 194.36 downside leaning on the bullish neutral side there. Amazon pivot downside today, going to be 152.67, unable to hold 150.95 to 148.84. Able to hold, we got a room for continuation higher. 153.80 to 155.11 leaning bearish neutral on that. Let's take a look at Netflix. Pivot to the downside today. 490.94 level holds 496.35, 501.03, unable to hold 44.27 to 474.09 downside. Leaning on the bullish neutral side only if pivot can be stayed intact there. Meta. Pivot upside 348.15 level holds 353.56, 357.76, unable to hold 345.21, 338.30 downside. Leaning on the bullish neutral side if pivot can be reclaimed. Google. Pivot to the upside today. And 138.27, unable to hold 135, 137.35 to 135.33, able to hold 139.48, 140.59, leaning bullish there. Take a look at the VIX, Qs, and IWM. VIX still selling off a little bit here, guys. I go back to the daily chart. This is the best place to look at it. 1265 level holds 1332, 1382, unable to hold 1231 to 1182 on the downside. Not leaning any particular direction, but of course, like to watch that alongside the SPY. QQQs 409.06 level holds 412.17, unable to hold 407.24 to 405.42 downside, leaning bullish neutral there. And then last but not least, guys, the SPX. Pivot to the upside today is going to be 477.28 level holds 48.05, unable to hold 47.41, 47.10 downside, leaning bullish neutral. All right, guys, so that's the SPY. That's the thing. Those are the individual names that we're looking at today. You guys want to come pop and join us in chat, you can certainly do so. Go to spartantrading.com. You can sign up there. We also have our charity event that's happening in the next 2 days. Rooms open by donation. So you'll see that link posted on my, actually pinned to my Twitter page. So just go to Spartan Trading. You'll see this right there, this is our charity link. Just click that. You'll pop into it. You want to donate $1 to join the room? Sure, you want to donate more? Go for it. You know, it goes to a good cause. Toys for Tots for matching all donations. So yeah, we'll see you guys the next day, couple days. Anyways, my friends, that's it. And thanks for tuning in. See you guys next week. All right. So once the streams close, guys, or just ask your questions now, and I'll go through whatever you want. Roku pivot, take a look. I'd use this level 93.19 pivot level holds 96.12 to 96.84. Above that 97.90, below that 92.03, 89.38. And just make sure to write that in the support and resistance area there, Mac. Microsoft 473, 23 pivot levels able to hold 474.30 to 476.44. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback into 467.21 to 464 on Microsoft. Point. Nice. 154.58, 162.09, 166.43, 175.83 on coin. Any other questions, guys? Feel free to let me know. Clearly met 3 there, CD Slim. Not bad. Still got 5 minutes here, guys. BLNK, sure. Make sure to write them down in support resistance area, guys. If I do give you levels. 346, 364, 382, 309, 275 on a BLNK. Oh. Favorites out the gate for sure. Tesla, NVIDIA, and then that probably FedEx. Nice move on Microsoft here. A little bit of a pop. That's on Mara and UPSC. Well, Mara, nice little breakout with Bitcoin there. Looks like right now you got room for continuation. So 22.15 will be the pivot, my opinion. Level holds 23.36 to 25.42, unable to hold 19.78 on Mara. Make sure to write those levels down. UPST 47.07 pivot level, unable to hold 45.20 to 43.46, able to hold 49.46. Oh, sorry, 49.49 to 52.47 on the upside. IWM, sure. IWM, I got 201.11 pivot level holds 202.28, 204.72, unable to hold 197.57 to 195.37. Wait to see which ways they break. Could be before the pivot level, but most likely it's going to be on a cross. Mainly due to volume in the morning. Microsoft levels I just gave them. They're also posted in the support and resistance area. DX observations already posted that in the SPX or in the pre-market section. You'll see the chart there. Two-minute or 1 minute till open, guys. So I'll be watching, tack out the gate, see how that holds up. For the most part, I think the market's going to be able to hold the range and be able to push back up. So I'm watching a pivot cross to the upside, essentially, and we'll go from there. Okay, let's throw up Tesla. Let's throw up, oh, the video's already going, baby. Holy smokes. All righty. So, like I said, semiconductors kind of what I'm looking at today. I think they can move. So that's what I'm looking for. All right, guys, market's open. Let's do it. Well, it's Tesla long 256.39. With a little bit wider stops there. A little bit of a long on that FedEx. Smaller along on what should we call it? PayPal. Put some NVIDIA. 5/10. Bell video there. Watch her NVIDIA, guys. She's ready. Looks really good. FedEx 1/2 oak. Stops at entries. A little bit of a long on the SMCI. A little bit of a long on the LNK here. Some SPX long. Square 80 call idea. Grab some Oxy 61s. Bit of a Netflix long, smaller size. 474.52 on SPY, next resistance. Something watchers. Got the floor of that Oxy. Took some CVNA. Stops with 57.50. A little bit of Weight Watchers on. Take off some of that CVNA, stops at entries. Nice, smooth so far. Point on CVNA, 1/4 left. Grab a little bit of Marvell, 61's guys for 54 cents.
Spartan, you saw the take in the Marvell calls, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Got off a piece of Netflix, 1 point, stops at entries. The video breaks 500, it's going to start to launch, guys. That's going to be the key.